Hello and welcome to a lesson on fractions, finding, multiplying and dividing. In this lesson we'll begin by finding fractions of given quantities without using a calculator. Then we'll look at how to multiply simple fractions together and how to divide one simple fraction by another. Starting with finding a fraction of a given quantity. We'll look at 4 examples. First, find a half of 46 pounds. Well, we're all aware that finding a half of something is dividing by 2. And when we find in any fraction, the denominator tells us what to divide by. So 46 divided by 2. 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 goes into 6 3 times. And the answer is 23 pounds. Second example, find 2/3 of 54 pounds. Well, to find 1/3, we divide by 3. And then once we've done that, we'll multiply by 2 because we want 2/3. So again, the denominator of the fraction tells us what to divide by, and the numerator of the fraction tells us what to multiply by. So 54 divided by 3. 3 goes into 5 once, 2 left over. 3 goes into 24 8 times. So 54 pounds divided by 3 is 18 pounds. That's 1/3. If I want 2/3, I need to multiply that by 2. 8 2's 16, carry the 1. 1's 2 is 2, 1's 3, to give a final answer of 36 pounds. Example 3. Find 3/4 of 120 kilograms. Well, to find 1/4, I simply divide by 4. 4 doesn't go into 1, carry the 1. 4 goes into 12 exactly 3 times, and 4 goes into 0 0 times. So 1/4 of 120 kilograms would be 30 kilograms. But we want 3/4, so we now multiply by the numerator. 30 multiplied by 3. 0 times 3 is 0, 3 3's are 9, and so we have 90 kilograms is 3/4 of 120 kilograms. Our final example, find 3/5 of 80 kilograms. So to find 1/5, we divide by 5. How many 5's in 8? 1, 3 left over, so carry the 3. 5's into 30 is 6. So 1/5 of 80 kilograms is 16 kilograms. And if we want 3/5, we simply have to multiply that 1/5 by 3. 6 times 3 is 18, carry the 1. 1's 3 is 3 and 1's 4. So our final answer is 48 kilograms. So to find a fraction of a given quantity, we simply divide the quantity by the denominator of the fraction and multiply by the numerator. We'll now have a look at multiplying simple fractions together, and we'll look at 4 examples. Example 1, 4/5 multiplied by 3/7. To multiply two fractions, all we do is multiply the numerators, that's the top of the fractions, 4 times 3, and we multiply the denominators, 5 times 7, the bottom of the fractions. 4 times 3 is 12, and 5 times 7 is 35. So that gives us an answer that 4/5 times 3/7 is equal to 12 35ths. Example 2 brings in the possibility of cancelling. When we multiply in two fractions, if we've got a number on the top and a number on the bottom that have a common factor, then we can cancel by that common factor to keep the fractions as simple as possible. So here, 4 goes into itself once, and 4 goes into 8 twice. And now the numbers are smaller than they were originally. Once we've cancelled as much as we can, we then multiply the numerators, 7 times 1, and we multiply the denominators, 2 times 5. And that will give us a final answer. 7 times 1 is 7, 2 times 5 is 10, so 7/8 times 4/5 is 7/10. Moving on now to examples 3 and 4. Can we see anything that cancels? 14 over 15 times 3 over 7. Is there anything on the top and bottom that have a common factor? Yes, 3 and 15. 3 goes into both of those. So I can say 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 15 5 times. Any more cancelling? Yes, 14 and 7 have a common factor of 7. So I can say 7 goes into 7 once, and 7 goes into 14 twice. I've now finished cancelling, so I multiply the numerators, 2 times 1, and I multiply the denominators, 5 times 1. Final answer, 2 times 1 is 2, 5 times 1 is 5, so the answer is 2 over 5, 2/5. Example 4. 7 over 18 times 15 over 21. Can we cancel? Well, 7 and 21 have a common factor of 7, so 7 goes into 7 once and into 21 3 times. How about 15 and 18? 3 goes into both of those, so I can cancel by 3. 3 goes into 15 5 times, and 3 goes into 18 6 times. You can cancel something on the top with something on the bottom. Now let's multiply the numerators together. 1 times 5 on the top, and on the bottom we have 6 times 3. So final answer, 1 times 5 is 5, 6 3s are 18, answer 5/18. Now we'll finish this lesson by dividing simple fractions. But before we do that, let's see if I can show you why we divide fractions as we do. Let's start with whole numbers. If I say 8 divided by 2, then the answer is 4. But another way of considering that, 8 divided by 2 is how many lots of 2 are there in 8? Well, there are 4 lots of 2 in 8. Let's look at another example. 20 divided by 2. How many lots of 2 are in 20? 10. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So when we say divide by 2, we mean how many 2's are in the number. Well, what if we divide them by a fraction? What if I said 2 whole numbers divided by a third? How many lots of a third are there in 2 whole numbers? Well, 3/3 make a whole number, so there are 3/3 in every whole number. So if I've got 2 whole numbers, there'll be 6/3. So 2 divided by a third is actually 6. A third goes into there 6 times. Another way of thinking of that is, instead of dividing by the 3, I end up multiplying by the 3. And that gives me the 6. And that's what we do when we divide by fractions. If we divide them by a fraction, we turn it upside down and multiply instead. And that gives us the correct answer. So let's have a look at 4 examples. First one, 14 over 15 divided by 7 over 10. What we've first got to do is turn that second one that we're dividing by upside down. But we have to change the sign to multiplication. And we should never try to cancel when there's a division sign around. It doesn't work. But once we've got a multiplication sign, it's just like the examples we were doing previously. We look to see if we can cancel. I can see 7 and 14 cancel by 7. So 7 goes into 7 once and into 14 twice. I can see that the 10 and 15 will cancel by 5. 5 goes into 10 twice, 5 goes into 15 3 times. And now I'm left to multiply the numerators, 2 times 2, and multiply the denominators, 3 times 1. So that gives us 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3. So the answer is 4/3. Or I could give that as a mixed number because 3/3 make a whole number, so that would be 1 whole number and 1/3. Example 2. 7/18 divided by 7/9. We write down the 7/18, we change it to a multiplication, and the second fraction, the one we're dividing by, gets turned upside down. Now can we cancel? Yes, we can cancel by 7. 7 goes into 7 once, and 7 goes into 7 once. We can also cancel by 9, because we've got 9 and 18. 9 goes into 9 once, 9 goes into 18 twice. And now we're left to multiply the numerators, 1 times 1, multiply the denominators, 2 times 1. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, so the answer is a half. 7/18 divided by 7/9 gives an answer of a half. Moving on to our last two examples. 4/15 divided by 3/10 is 4/15 multiplied by 10/3. The one we're dividing by gets turned upside down and the problem changes to multiplication. Any cancelling? 10 and 15 will cancel by 5. 5 goes into 10 twice, 5 goes into 15 3 times. Now we multiply the numerators, 4 times 2, and we multiply the denominators, 3 times 3. Final answer, 8/9, 8/9. And our last example, 7/18 divided by 5/12. That's equal to 7/18 multiplied by 12/5. Now we've got a multiplication. I can look to see if we can cancel. Yes, I can see that 6 will go into 12 and 18. So 6 goes into 12 twice, 6 goes into 18 3 times. No more cancelling, so I multiply the numerators, 7 times 2, multiply the denominators, 3 times 5. 7 times 2 is 14. 3 times 5 is 15, to give an answer of 14/15. And that concludes this short lesson on finding fractions, multiplying and dividing by simple fractions. You'll now find an exercise that gives you practice at all three techniques.